Hey, it's Rachel over at Moonlight Library. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Glad to have you join us. I'm doing my August wrap up. I did not read the most books in August, but I did read 6 books in August, so that's not bad. It's not horrible. 6 books? Yeah, 6. Most to least favorite. And then manga at the end, because that's just how I do. We're gonna start out with Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. I finally picked this book up. I had been hearing so many great things about it. This one is Finlay Donovan is an author that's kind of struggling, going through a divorce, like very bad divorce, about to have like custody issues and stuff like that. And she's an author, as I said. She goes out to eat with her agent, and someone overhears them talking, and she's a mystery author, and mistaken identity thinks that she is a hit person. So all of a sudden she is hired to kill someone, and it gets pretty wild, and it's very much so like, oh no, I keep getting into these situations, I can't get myself out of them, and it is so much fun. I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed the characters. Finley is a compelling character. Her nanny is hilarious and just very like badass and gonna get it done, sort of, or get it done, whatever's going on. And you have people to hate, people to love. There's like some love stuff going on, but it's not an overarching thing. Read it. It's a series. I am going to read the second one hopefully this month. I'm planning on this month, so watch out for that. Okay, my second favorite book. So The Witch Elm by Tana French. I love this book. It was really good. It is like an exploration of privilege and of like class and stuff like that, but it's like a literary mystery. It's about this guy who people come into his house and beat him up, rob him, and he ends up having this traumatic brain injury. It is not good. So then he goes to stay with his dying uncle or great uncle. A body is discovered, and it is pretty wild and very much like there are all these things going on that you're like chicken or the egg, and the ending is just wild, and it's very much so like very unlikable, unrelatable narrator. So if you don't like those things, this is not the book for you, because it is pretty long. Like, it looks like it's not that long, but it feels very long. Like, the words are super tiny on that page. Great. I read You by Caroline Kepnes, and I also read Hidden Bodies this month. So You follows Joe. He's a stalker, and it's in his perspective, and he like falls in love with this girl, Guinevere Beck, also known as Beck, and he starts stalking her, and he like works at this bookstore, and his stalking is very much so he believes that he has the right to be stalking her, sort of thing. And he thinks he's being helpful, and he thinks he's a good person, kind of. And it is pretty compelling. I don't know. Joe is an interesting character, and I kind of love it. It's another book where a character keeps getting himself into these wild situations, but he makes it out in his brain, because you're reading in his brain, like first person point of view, and he's like making it out like it's like I'm helping. He kind of knows he's not a good person. I don't know. It's very weird. So the second one, Hidden Bodies, I haven't told you any ratings for these books that I read. So the other 2 were 5 stars. This one, what did I rate You? I think it was 5 stars. I was loving books this time, but Hidden Bodies I give 3 stars. It just wasn't as interesting. It was more like Hollywood, and because the first one takes place in New York. The second one is like fame, Hollywood, directing. I don't know. He's doing the same shit, but like with a different cast of characters. It is the show is based on it, but the first book is more closely aligned with the show than the second book is. The second book and the second season are kind of the same thing, but not completely. So it's not the same stuff over and over again, but at the same time, it is not as compelling as the first one. I was like, you know what? Take it or leave it. That's how I feel. Take it or leave it about that one. I am still interested to read the third one, though. Don't get me wrong. The last book that I read was by the book. This one is Jasmine Guillory, and it is a romance book that is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So we're following this girl who works at this literary agent, or like she's an editor. She goes to encourage one of their authors to finish his memoir, and she ends up living with him because she has to give him so much encouragement. And I just like, I don't know, this one was not hitting it with me. Like, I was like, this is not my romance book. I've read another Jasmine Guillory. I read The Wedding Date, and I also didn't really like that one. So maybe it's a Jasmine Guillory thing, and it's just like, I gave it 3 stars. I was like, it's okay. But you know how there are those moments in romances, if you read them, that you're just kind of like, ooh, swoon. Like, I never really had that. Like, I never really cared for the love interest. I was just kind of like, he's kind of whiny, and like, oh, it turns out that he's had a hard past and stuff, but I didn't care. It was a fine book. I just didn't care. Interesting, it's a paperback, and it's like the size of a hardback, though. It's very large. Weird. I read the first Spy Family, and I loved it. I really need to move on in this series. I have the second one. I've read some of it, but I was just like not in a manga mood. Like, I don't know. I really need to finish that Goodnight Pumpkin. Anyways, Spy X Family. It's not Spy Family. It's Spy X Family. I keep forgetting that. Like, I thought it was Spy Family, and then someone was like, you mean Spy X Family? And I looked at the Goodreads, and I was like, it says X. There's an X. How did I not see that? How did I, like, completely disregard? So it's about this spy who has some job that they need to get intel on this man who he only really comes out to go to his child's boarding school sort of situation. So he has to adopt a child to get them into the boarding school, but the only way to adopt the child to get them into the boarding school is to also have a wife. So he also has to find a wife. Turns out the wife's an assassin. And the child is a telepath. It's very entertaining. It's funny. It's cute. It's action-packed. So much fun. 5 stars. Loved it. Can't wait to read the rest. So that's all I read this month. September. I hope that I read more, but we'll see. I've only read 1 book so far. Tell me what you've been reading, or if you've read any of these books, or recommend me books. I love book recommendations. I do have a lot of books to read, though. Thank you for joining me today. Okay.